everyone, Joe here from ActionX. Welcome to What's on the Tube, or welcome back if this is your fourth Perry Mason episode review. Hope you're all doing well. Hope you're all being good to each other. Sorry if I sound really tired. It's 11 at night. I just wrapped seeing the Perry Mason episode, and I'm a little tired. But don't worry, it won't affect my ability to perform as usual. As this episode is a life hitter, if I have to describe it. This is mostly an EB episode, to come to think of it. I mean, EB has been such a prominent figure. I mean, I know it's a mini series. You only have 8 episodes, so when I say prominently, I don't mean that in the scale of like being grandiose, but in the scale of, just this story in this world. EB has been such a figure in the show so far that, having a whole, not the whole episode, but like having a majority of the focus on him as a character and seeing his weaknesses. As when we started up the first episode, we saw EB. Am I focused? Yeah, I'm focused. We saw EB as this lawyer who could, he's age. He knows the business. He knows how to do the right thing. He was on top of the world, and then as the series progressed, we started to see the decline of EB, and for me, I thought this was going to be a comeback story where it's like, oh, we're seeing EB like take a couple loses, but then we're going to see like this big finish by the end of it. And this episode, man, I mean, I wasn't expecting that ending, or I assume that ending to happen. But we did get some progress in the case. We see Perry and Pete going into the right direction. Sister Alice, it's kind of weird to say Alice because I keep thinking of the Batwoman character. Sister Alice, like, contemplating her, like, overall decision making on what she saw in the end of the last episode. Yeah, so let's get down to it. Let's get through the butchered recap, and then let's explain why this is such an EB episode compared to all the others. So we begin this episode, I believe we begin in... Where did we begin? Sorry, I thought I could try hide my yawn there. And I actually am thinking, like, how the hell did this episode begin? I believe... Obviously, we begin with the recap. But there was something else that kind of preceded it. I think the earliest scene I remember seeing was... EB's assistant, which I swear to God, I heard the name, I saw the name, and then I got the name, it's in my head, and now I lost it. It's just, my head is horrible with names. We see his assistant driving him to work, telling him about what she saw the night before at the prison with the detectives with Emily. At first, EB is not really like focused on this, as his priority is to obviously win the case. But he's going to use this piece of information as a tool, as a bargaining chip, as he and the DA are heading towards the judge once again to kind of argue on the case. Someone, off court records. EB's telling him that, like, hey, listen, this is happening in the prison. This is unexcusable. Of course, the DA is kind of like cleaning his hands, like, hey, I had nothing to do with this. Like, these weren't my detectives. I didn't do anything on this, so this should not affect anything that the judge has already like ruled on. But thankfully, because of EB's wise words and just the severity of this accusation, the judge at least sentences Emily to protective custody, so that she will be safe and secured from anyone that's not allowed to see her. But he doesn't change the bail, so that's another loss in the EB category. Meanwhile, I know Officer Drake isn't in this episode. For some reason, he's just not in this episode. So we cut to Perry, Pete. They're taking the mortician that we've been seeing for the last few episodes, along for a joyride, which is kind of weird because, like, at the end of the last episode, we see them like making this oh my god crucial discovery. Like, well, for themselves, for us as viewers, we already know what happened, but for them, they realize, oh, there's something more at play here with George, not my George, but the George in the show. So they're taking him to Perry's house up in the airport hangar, well, the airplane hangar. And at first, it seems like he was finally. I feel so sorry for the mortician because I felt like this is like, wow, this is my chance to be one of the guys. Like, someone's inviting me out to go hang out, get some beer, talk about women, all that sort of stuff. And they just show him the body. He was just in complete shock. It's like, what the fuck? You guys lied to me. You brought me here to use me. And they were like, no, like, man, we promised you a fun time. Don't worry about it. But they're trying to explain to him, like, hey, listen, we found these pieces of dentures from a police officer. This matches the George's body. This kind of would allow for a circumstantial let's do this again type of thing with another autopsy. But he's not sticking with it. He doesn't want to do this. And the face he makes when he's getting told this, it's very much in the realm of like, oh my god, I feel so sorry for this dude. I really do. Okay, so from then, I believe we didn't get to the golf scene yet, but I think we go to EB and his assistant. They're making a visit at the bank. He's doing a newspaper piece. Meanwhile, he's asking his assistant like, "Hey, I need an appointment with the bank. Can you set up with my usual guy?" But she said, "Oh, the usual guy's not there. I had to set you up with another guy." Evie's kind of like disgruntled a little bit, so to speak, during this photo shoot / interview process. Then we cut over to the bank where Evie's meeting with the I forgot the name of the bank employee, whatever the hell the terminology is, about a potential loan, because since they lost the money they would have gotten from the case through the official backer, and this has basically just become a pro bono case, EB's kind of in that weird zone of like he has to at least pay for his expenses, for his assistant, at least the basic elements for his business. He just needs a 4-month loan. However, the bank refuses to give it to him because of all of his credentials and stuff like that. And it's not really, it wasn't looking good for EB. Like, I felt so sorry for him that, like, it's just nothing's going right for him. And also, I think I missed a couple more scenes, but I think this is where we get the scene where it's a random scene. We're at a golf course. I felt like, are we getting introduced to new characters here? It's like, I mean, I know it's pretty late in the game considering the fact it's only an 8 episode, but like, are we already getting introduced to another new character? Like, what's going on here? And it's at a golf course with these two, I presume, rich people and their caddy. And the caddy drops the bags, and the guys are like, "What the fuck, dude? This is an expensive ass golf tool. Don't fuck this up." And they move towards the guy, and they find a dead body in the sand trap. So they're all confused. We cut to the morgue, and we see the mortician kind of like getting over the night he had with Perry and Pete. Even his assistant gives it a little bit of a drink of something alcohol related. I'm not sure. And then the body turns out that was from the sand, from the golf course. It turns out to be George again. And the guy's like, fucking hell, fuck these guys. And then we cut to Perry and Pete kind of telling EB their plan that like, hey, we're going to get a second official autopsy. It's going to prove there's a fourth man in the picture at this scene of the crime. So we would at least set up the fact that George wasn't the killer, or he didn't die by suicide, but he was killed, so the case wouldn't be closed by then. EB's initially like, no, we can't do this, like, how am I supposed to use this in court? The same old EB lawyer nonsense we've been used to by this point. Eventually he does accept, like, this could be an opportunity, so he has Perry repeat the information for him. And EB, for some weird fucking reason, decides to go to the DA and kind of tell him about, hey, I got this crucial piece of evidence, like, there's a fourth guy in this room at this crime scene, so we are going to pretty much assume that George was not the murderer. So we're gonna some of this is all gonna lead to Emily getting off scot-free. And the DA is like, sure you are, sure. And he just pulls out these files and say these random names and businesses. And at first, for the viewers, we don't understand. But then EB kind of remembers, is like, oh shit. But then we remember last episode when EB was talking to his fellow peer or his fellow colleague about potential either some help of some sort, and he was kind of reminding, and that associate was reminding him that like, hey, we've done some shady shit in the past. It would be best not to pursue this any further because otherwise some shit's gonna come out that you're not gonna like. So the DA has that information. This information would count as grand larceny since he was embezzling funds, misappropriating like fees from his clients just to make ends meet. But it doesn't matter; it's still grand larceny, and this is enough to pursue a disbarment for EB. So the DA pretty much gives EB three options: either you plead Emily to be guilty, just take the case to trial, and lose there, or you get disbarred by Friday. So EB's kind of like put up against this like very tight wall that this is not going to end well for him. And then also there was another moment that EB just kind of suffers through, but I think we'll get to that later. Because I'm gonna breeze through the Sister Alice stuff since I know she was kind of taking the focus the last couple of weeks a little bit, but then this week she kind of like not took a backseat, but like all the EB stuff definitely like took over the focus personally. So Sister Alice is still recouping after her seizure. The doctor's informing her peers that like, hey, or her pews, or I forgot how the terminology is, but the people who take care of her, like, she's got to rest for at least a few weeks. She cannot perform the schedule you've been putting her through, otherwise she's never going to fully recover. Obviously, for the church, this isn't a good plan since like she's the face. She's the main reason this is all working. Without her, they're gonna lose everything. However, there's also another bigger thing beyond that, as the people who supposedly fund the whole thing, the council or whatever, they're telling the mother of the sister that, oh, by the way, so the thing she said at the last sermon, I think that is not a good thing for us to be painted as, because the fact that she promised to the people that I'm going to resurrect the baby is like a very, very risky move to make. And look, here's the thing. This is like we're broaching a very touchy subject because, like, if you really think about it, yes, resurrection is something that is very, in terms of the faith, everyone's thinking of this as the financial perspective. Because the problem is that if she makes this promise and she isn't going to go through with this, you're going to lose people who's going to believe in her. She's going to lose that clientele. She's going to lose her followers. That loses money. And the council wants money. So they basically tell her, listen, she's going to have to rescind what she said last time, and we're going to move forward from this. Simple. And of course, obviously, because this is an old 20th century house, everything's paper thin, so Sister Alice could hear pretty much everything from this conversation. And then we got a night scene with Perry and his air pilot girlfriend. I'm gonna say girlfriend at this point because like they've been together for so long. I'm gonna say girlfriend. So yeah, so they're still together. Perry's being weighted down by this whole case. She's still like telling him, "Hey, just sell, take a vacation, sell the house, take a vacation. Like you earned it." Perry's like, "No, like I'm the last Mason left. This house is so far the only real sign that my name mattered." Yeah, he's got a point on that. But Perry's also thinking about everything with the case as well, so that's why he can't really give up on being anything. And I forgot. There was a scene where Perry tried to call his son. He finally got through to him. But ironically, for some reason, I'm not sure how they got this out, but the chubby thing from the first episode that finally got released on newspapers. So Chubby goes after Perry. It's like, you fucked over my life, and he just beats the shit out of him in a phone booth while he's talking to his son. Like, I feel so sorry for Perry right now. And then we get the night scene, and also EB has a fight with his assistant. Because EB, obviously, she did nothing wrong. It's just EB is very much on high alert stress right now because of everything going on. He's looking through his old files because he needs to kind of like keep track of all like the shady things he's done in the past. So he has to like kind of figure that out, but he can't find it because this was all predating when he hired his assistant. So it's not anywhere like available to him. So he gets mad at her, and she said, "Screw you! I've done a lot for you. You give me no respect." And I honestly I was hoping to hit her line like, "You can barely pay me, and I'm still doing my job, and you're not giving me the respect I deserve. I'm leaving. You can drive yourself home." And EB's like, "Fucking wow!" That was like honestly like that was like the moment like she had enough. And also we do get a little glimpse into her house life apparently. I honestly was confused by the house scene for the assistant because it was weird that I didn't understand the family dynamics because we never really got told about her family dynamic. We see another woman, an older woman, which I assume is her mother, and some other guy living there. So I assume, oh, maybe they're all roommates, so they're all sharing the house or something. But then after the EB scene with her and EB, she heads back home. She's very tired. The other woman shows up, and apparently they're together. I mean, they kissed each other, so I'm assuming they're together. I'm not sure if they're married or not. They didn't really imply that. I swear to God that the actress played the other one. I swear to God, she played Mandy, the first actress who played Mandy before the new one in the Fox run of it, in the ABC run of it. I think that's her. I checked the IMDb before I started this episode. It's not listed. I swear to God that's her. I swear to God, you know what I'm talking about. It has to be here, and this is why I watch too much television, so I can understand and know these connections. So you're welcome, America. Then the next day, Perry goes to visit EP while he passed out on the couch, of course. So Perry goes to tell him that, hey, listen, man, I'm going to go chase up some old leads, retrace some footprints and kind of maybe find a new perspective on things. EP kind of sends him on his way. Also, another thing I forgot to miss before I forget is that the DA corners two of the detectives that are working with him on the trying to get this case like quickly resolved so they can move on from it. He's very pissed at them since they have the information oh, there is a fourth man. And the detective who did this is in the room, so it's he did this thing. So he's kind of pissed, they know they're onto something. You guys are not doing your job. You guys have to take care of this before anything else occurs. It's very much in that situation. It's nothing. Things are starting to go under, and they're not liking it. They're no, we need to win. We need to figure out a way to stop them from figuring out more information. And then we see Perry and P kind of returning to the scene of the crime from the first episode, trying to figure out how things were done in terms of the person who was holding the baby hostage to the Dawsons across the way. They were trying to figure out because they're trying to figure it out because the one piece of thing that they're using is that the money was left alone because once the Dawsons saw their baby, they immediately ran and they didn't take the money. So the money was there. So anyone could have come in and taken the money. So they're trying to figure out how did the guy get out so they can figure out the connection there. They're trying to figure it out. But they haven't found any. But they tried the back. Well, they tried a couple of different approaches, but then they find this connection between the two buildings that leads into a special club for charities and such like that. So they go in. They see a charity, an auction in progress to get what's the name? I forgot the name of it. I'm so sorry. These kids, they have crutches. I forgot the name of it. They're trying to raise money so they can go to camp and have a good time this summer. And Perry spots one of the detectives there who kind of cornered him before. So he's kind of putting the pieces together. It has to be him. It's just too much of a coincidence. And the detective's obviously trying to be no, it's not me. I got nothing. You can't prove anything on me. So it's a very tense bout. It's Perry's on to him, and the guy has to do something to stop him. And then the last crucial thing that I should remember is that Sister Alice limits and decides to read a prepared statement from the council to kind of disprove, or at least discredit what she said before at the end of her last sermon, to kind of maybe move on from this. However, during her speech, one of her followers gives her a blanket and says that this is the blanket I want you to use when Charlie comes back from the dead. And that was the thing, no, I am right. I believe what God told me. I'm going to stand by my thing. And it was fuck, it's over. It's over. The damage has been done. She said it's sane. We're done. We have to live with this. So what happens next time? I don't know. Gotta love orange tea. Sorry about that. Anyway, where was I? Oh yeah. So then we get to the last crucial scene where EB goes to visit Emily, kind of telling her hey, listen, given everything that's going on, I think it would be in our best effort to take a plea, and I can get you a reduced sentence, 20 years at an all-women's facility. It wouldn't be that bad, but Emily's no, I don't want this, and then EB kind of has that epiphany moment. It's yeah, you're right. Let's fight this. Let's keep going. As long as you're fighting, and I'll fight alongside with you. But I can tell in EB's voice, I can tell in his tone, like, he doesn't believe that. Like, there's something more, like, he's only saying that just to get Emily happy. But I can kind of tell he didn't mean it. So then we cut to the next day. EB's back at home. He woke up. It seemed like to be his standard typical morning routine, feeding the birds with sugar water, eating breakfast, getting his stuff ready. So I'm thinking, like, what's the purpose of this scene? And then we get a very long view of the oven and a blanket. And he goes to the door and he covers the under of the door. And it turns out that he was going... Well, he turns on the gas in the oven, opening it up, letting it go on to his house. And he decided to take his life. My guess is that he couldn't live with the fear of, like, having the information against him come out, failing Emily, failing himself, failing everyone, and he just ends it in the most. It's not even poignant. I think what the word is. In a very simple manner, he just poisons himself and he's gone. And no, I'm not trying to insinuate crying. I don't know why my voice just turned to that. I just felt kind of sad because I really liked EB. I really did. I honestly felt like my prediction was like EB was going to win this case, and that he was going to kind of like promote Perry into like putting him on the steps to where he was going to be, where we see him in the novels and such. But now that's over with, and it's weird. Like, it's very weird to like take out a character. Like, it's unexpected because you assume that he's going to keep fighting like anyone with like a newfound motivation, but he doesn't. He just gives up because he knows that he can't do this. But hopefully Perry will, and how everyone else deal with it, we'll find out next week. So again, I honestly thought this was a great episode. This was definitely an EB focused episode. Put more of the attention on him, putting us into his shoes, having him deal with a lot of things, and sadly the end may not have been like the right way to go, but it does push us in this new direction. Like, what is everyone going to do now without EB? Where do we go from here? And that's the thing I'm very interested about when we approach the second half of the series. So yeah, I can't wait for next week. Can't wait to see how they're going to continue this. And so for me, I give this episode 2 thumbs up. And I think that's going to do it for me, guys. So if you're unaware, this was What's in the Tube from ActionX. If you want to know what we're doing overall on What's in the Tube, besides our Perry Mason episode reviews, we do DC Stargirl episode reviews each and every Friday after a brand new episode on Monday on DC Universe, the streaming service, as well as on Tuesday nights on the CW. But you can catch it all for free on Wednesday on the CW.com and on the CW app. And we also do Doom Patrol Season 2 episode reviews each and every Saturday after a brand new episode on Thursday on HBO Max and on DC Universe, both of them being streaming services. But if you only care about Perry Mason, we have a brand new episode review each and every Monday after a brand new episode on HBO on Sunday nights. So I'll see you guys next week for the next Perry Mason episode. Yeah, I don't know if you're really new to report. We just finished up the 100 episodes, so we're gonna kind of return to normality at least until August. Let's see where things go in August, because this show ends in August, Doom Patrol ends in August, Stargirl ends in August, and okay, enough morbid. Let me just enjoy a few more weeks of normality before I have to start focusing on the next thing. But until then, if you were unaware, this was What's on the Tube from ActionX. If you want to see more of What's on the Tube, especially our Perry Mason episode reviews, please subscribe to ActionX on YouTube.com. Ring the bell for notification when the next episode review is live. Like, favorite, share if you want to, but it does help us out in the long run, guys. It really does. And follow us on social media to be up to date on new videos, any updates, all that sort of, so to speak. And I'll see you, Masoners, next week on the next episode. So, also let me know in the comments below what you think of everything. Did you like the twist at the end? Are you gonna miss EB? Then let me know. I'm always open to conversation in the comments. And I'll see you guys next week. Peace out.